and welcome to the third edition of the Youth Debate. Our first edition of the Youth Debate was in Mumbai. Our second edition of the Youth Debate took us to Bengaluru. And we are extremely excited today to be bringing you the third edition of the new Youth Debate from the national capital of New Delhi. As usual in the Youth Debate, we have 8 participants today. 4 of them are college students representing the youth. Our audience today, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming, and a big round of applause to our audience today for coming. That goes out to you. This debate is for you. We want you to participate in this debate. We want you to have strong views on this debate because the subject of this youth debate affects you more than anyone else. The subject for the youth debate, and I'll go into the rules in just some time, is this. The motion for debate is that the privatization of education has brought down the quality of education. Hence, those who would be for the privatization of education would be against this motion, and those who would be against the privatization of education would be for this motion. And let me welcome and please give a rousing applause to all our participants in this edition of the Youth Debate today. The motion is the privatization of education has brought down the quality of education. And supporting this motion from my left today, give them a round of applause, Vanshika Singh, a second-year student at LSR College. To her right is the very respected Professor Anil Sadgopal, member of the Central Advisory Board of Education, one of the most prominent educationists in India today. To his right is Uday Singh Rana, a very avid debater, and he's a second-year student of political science at Hindu College, Delhi University. To his right, anti the privatization of education and therefore for the motion is Madhu Prasad, former professor at Zakir Hussain College and professor of philosophy at Delhi University. Thank you very much. He's a member, also been a member of the All India Forum for Right to Education in India. To a round of applause once again to our participants today, because they are tonight, those on my left today are firmly against the privatization of education. They believe it does not serve much of a purpose. We'll open up this debate. To my right, someone we all know very well, Professor Arindam Chaudhary, economist and management guru. If there's one person who represents the face of privatization in education today, it is Professor Arindam Chaudhary. Now, whether you like him or not, he follows a certain method which elicits strong views. To his right, also, for pro-privatization of education, Abir Sharma, second-year student at Hansraj College, Delhi University. Thank you very much, Abir. To his right, Naveen Chopra is chairman of the Chopras. Very few people have played such a role in opening up education into the private sector as Naveen Chopra has, chairman of the Chopras, a big education consultancy. And finally, our student from the Faculty of Management Sciences at Delhi University doing his MBA is Dhruv Mittal. Thank you very much, Dhruv. Warm round of applause to all our panelists today. Debate is this: the privatization of education has brought down the quality of education. Now, we have a buzzer, and before I play the buzzer, I want to briefly introduce you. We believe in a free-flowing debate, right? Don't we believe in a free-flowing debate? Do you want a free-flowing debate or very regulated debate? Tell me what you want. Free-flowing debate. We want a free-flowing debate on the subject of whether the privatization of education has brought down the quality of education. Therefore, the only thing that I request all our panelists is listen to me very, very clearly right now. At the start of the debate, a 90-second introduction. For the motion, against the motion, we are going to move rapidly from each of our panelists. The buzzer goes. We request you at the end of the 90 seconds, end your points of view. After that, we are going to go into open interjections, and as the debate progresses, I will take you along the rules. So as of now, let me please begin the debate today by welcoming our first speaker and give them a round of applause as they speak. If you agree with them, give them a stronger round of applause. If you disagree with them, don't boo them down. That won't be fair. Against the privatization of education and speaking for the motion that the privatization of education has brought down the quality of education in India, Vanshika Singh from LSR College, Delhi University. Vanshika, you got 90 seconds now. Go on.
I think when we're talking about privatization and interlinking it with quality of education, I think the main burden, so as to say, that comes from this side is actually to do with when privatization has a high propensity to turn into gross commercialization. And that is when I think the quality really suffers, right? Not to deny the fact that in something like education in a country like ours, is it even right in its essence or not, right? And I think when that sort of leads to your suffering in terms of equality, right, in terms of who gets that education and who does not get that education, I think there is where we have a problem, where you're sort of trimming the branches when your roots are not strong. And that is where I think I have a major problem with privatization of education.
Well, thank you very much. You've kept to your time. That happens very rarely, let me tell you, in debates these days. Does the privatization of education inevitably mean the commercialization of education? Hasn't privatization turned education into an industry? Has it made it into a money-minting industry? Our second speaker, who would presumably take on that point of view, is Dhruv Mittal from FMS Delhi University. Go ahead, Dhruv.
Okay, before we jump into any hasty conclusions, let us consider these facts. You go to any government website, they're going to tell you that India is 80+% literate. What they don't tell you is that, that two very reputed surveys conducted by international agencies show the fact that students who study at a class 5 level in India actually have the level of a second year, have a standard of a student who's studying in the second standard. They also don't tell you that the deplorable standards of the mathematics and science aptitudes of Indian students. So the question is that you have to see the problem from a ground up level, right from the primary level, right up to your postgraduate level. And what I see is that, yes, there are a few good state-run institutions. I'm not denying that fact. And on the same side, you have some very good privately run institutions as well. But in the education sector, particularly at your schooling level, the state is deplorable in most of the state-run schools. In a lot of your graduation courses and your post-graduation students, the state is not able to meet the standards that are required today. So the question is that, has privatization actually reduced the quality? I don't really think so.
Why aren't you in a private institute, Dhruv?
I did my graduation from a private institute. I did it from BITS Pilani, Goa campus. So I'm from a private institute, and I have seen the best of both worlds. So I'm not saying that state-run institutions are bad or private are commercialized. The question is that it depends on a case-on-case basis. And if you are going to make a generic statement that a private institution reduces the quality of education, I do not agree to it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dhruv, for introductory comments. Is better education a privilege of the rich? Doesn't the fee structure, let's talk about the fee structure, does it put this kind of education out of the reach of a number of Indians? Professor Anil Sadgopal, your turn is next, sir, speaking for the motion. Go ahead, sir.
Three issues I want to raise. First, the agenda of destruction of public education system in the country, which got formally initiated in 1991 with globalization under World Bank dictates, when a whole program of the decade of 90s was undertaken under district primary education program to destroy the public funded school education system, on which I'll elaborate later. And after 90s began the program of World Trade Organization and GATS, WTO GATS agenda to destroy the higher education system. And what I think is probably not correct to say is privatization, which we are talking about. We are actually talking about financialization of education system. Second issue, this financialization of education system has increased both inequality and discrimination, which is against the constitutional obligation of the state, that is Article 14 and Article 15. Today we are in a situation when only 8% of the Dalits and only 6% of the tribal children and roughly 8 to 9% of the Muslim children and OBC are able to graduate from class 12. And they are the only one in the weaker section of society, constituting 80% of India, who become eligible for higher education. My third issue is about quality. This is a myth that all private institutions are better than public funded education system. Big myth being promoted. In fact, large majority of the private education institutions are fourth-rate education institutions, and they are the ones which should be just totally stopped from functioning. There's a small number which probably fulfill the market agenda. They fulfill the corporate goals of promoting profiteering and building up the capital. There's a capitalization agenda. They stop all knowledge generation, knowledge production, knowledge dissemination, which is against the corporate goals. They provide an education system which builds up a docile workforce for the global market. And this is what we have to oppose.